Welcome to 5 Minutes in the Word, a daily devotional in the Word of God.
So, Derek, when we look at the Old Testament, it's just filled with great characters. Usually we think of the men. They do dominate. They're the leaders of families and even the leaders of tribes and things like that. But there are some women that stand out in remarkable ways. And one of those, for me at least, is Esther. What do you know about that book and that woman?
Well, it is a great book, and as we've said before, Esther just stands out because of her faith in God, her trust in Mordecai, her deliverance of the Jewish people, and how she helps provide for them. Esther was someone that she was put into a situation that was very difficult. Here she is, and the queen has been, removed from her throne, has been, is basically cast away. And so here she is being brought by Mordecai to the king, or to the king's people at least, there before Ahasuerus. And she's going to be given as one of the women to possibly be the queen. And so she's going to spend a great deal of time, as we see there in chapter 2. She's going to spend a great deal of time, trying to be prepared for this time when she's going to come before the king. They spend a lot of time, treating them with different perfumes and different spices and things like that, trying to, I guess, remove the stench from their previous life, but also to just prepare them in such a way to when they go before the king, they are as beautiful as they want them to be, I guess, as these people want. And so she spends a lot of time in that preparation, and all of this time, nobody knows who her people are. Mordecai had warned her and told her, hey, don't reveal who your people are. And so she doesn't tell that she's a Jew. So she gets chosen above all the rest to be queen. Now, it's different than our society today. She couldn't just roam about as she wanted to. She had some limitations on how she could go about. But there were times in which you see her interacting there with Ahasuerus, and you're going to see they made a big impact. Now, a lot of Esther's life and the things that we praise her for came about also because of her relationship to Mordecai. Mordecai was also a very faithful man, also a Jew, and so her relationship to Mordecai allowed her to advance even farther, because as we see there in Esther chapter 2, Mordecai is going to be sitting in the gate. He's going to discover a plot against the king. Two of his servants, two of the eunuchs, are going to be plotting against him, and so he sends the message to Esther. Esther gets the message. She delivers it to the king, and the king, after they discover the plot, these two perpetrators are put to death. They're hung for their crimes. And Esther, obviously, I'm sure she gets some praise in this. Mordecai obviously does too. What's interesting, though, is after this, what you're going to see is that you're going to see the entrance of another character in the name of Haman. And Haman's going to come on the scene, and he's going to be put as the leader above everybody else. Ahasuerus seems to be the only person, the king, above him. And so Haman's going to be interjected here in the story. And Haman and Mordecai do not get along.
Yeah.
Mordecai is not willing to bow down to Haman. He's not going to submit to him. Mordecai is only going to submit to God. And so what you see here is Haman doesn't like this. Yeah. And Haman's going to find out, okay, Mordecai's a Jew, therefore we're going to find a way to persecute the Jews. We're going to try to find a way to take them out. So the story ends up going on as you go, through chapter 3 and Haman's plot against the Jews. And then in chapter 4, Mordecai is going to learn of all this. In chapter 4, verse 1, it says, when Mordecai learned all that had been done, Mordecai tore his clothes, and he put on sackcloth and ashes, and went up in the midst of the city, and he cried out a loud cry and bitter, and he went up to the entrance of the king's gate, for no one was allowed to enter the king's gate clothed in sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and his decree reached, there was a great mourning among the Jews, with fasting and weeping and lamenting, and many of them lay on sackcloth and ashes. So here he is, and he's just weeping over what's about to transpire, what is transpiring, the persecution that's coming among the Jews. Esther is, therefore, she's going to get, involved in this process. Once again, from Mordecai to Esther, there's going to come this message, and she's going to find a way to help deliver the people. Now, in this whole process, you have Haman, who's been glorifying himself. His hatred towards Mordecai is so strong, but the king's going to discover that actually Mordecai needs to be rewarded. He needs to be rewarded for all that he's done to help save the king in times past. And so he's given a reward that really angers Haman. But then Esther, in that dinner party that she throws, ends up revealing the fact that Haman has been trying to kill Mordecai this entire time and has been plotting against him and against his people. Haman's going to end up being the one that ends up in the gallows. And Esther and Mordecai, obviously with King Ahasuerus, will press forward to help save the people. Now, the law was the law in their land. They couldn't change the law, but they could notify the people of what's going to happen and get them ready for the offense that they were going to take. Esther and Mordecai are both just two faithful people. And to me, they tell us that if we'll trust in God, and as Christians, if we will trust in each other, that we can do anything because God is on our side.